some big questions. What can really end the farmers' strikes? Are the opposition parties using these protests to ghair out the Narendra Modi government? Should the centre and the opposition be working together now to resolve this crisis? These are just some of the questions I'll raise tonight. Naresh Gujral, MP of the Shiromani Akali Dal, Sambit Patra, BJP spokesperson, Supriya Srinath, Congress spokesperson. I want to go to Mr. Gujral, who I spoke to a little while ago, on that critical question first, because Prakash Singh Badal has created a bit of a stir by returning the Padma Vibhushan in solidarity with the farmers. Is this simply Mr. Badal realizing that the Akali Dal has been cornered? They need to do something dramatic to get back their farm support. Is this a publicity stunt, as some of the oppositions are is suggesting, or by a party that's on the back foot? How do you respond, Mr. Gujral?
Rajdeep, please remember two or three things. Number one, he is the tallest farm leader since Chaudhry Charan Singh. The entire country's farmers look up to him. He is 92, he has nothing to gain or lose. But this only reflects his pain and anguish at the way the farmers are being treated in the country today. He has been saying time and again that the government should reconsider these laws, but nothing is happening, and he can see the way a peaceful protest has been handled or mishandled by the administration, both in Haryana and in Delhi. So it's only reflecting his anger, more than anger, his anguish.
No, you're saying it's reflecting anger and anguish. Here is someone who's been one of the long-standing allies of the BJP. Is this simply trying to put some kind of pressure on Prime Minister Modi? Let's be very clear. Prakash Singh Badal's relationship with the BJP goes back to the emergency years when he shared a prison cell with the likes of Advani and Vajpayee. So I want to understand, is this Prakash Singh Badal trying to put some moral pressure on Prime Minister Modi as some kind of a final break with the BJP by returning this award?
Well, the final break did take place when we left the cabinet. Then after that, we left the NDA. But yes, you are absolutely right. We are trying to pressurize the government because we feel that what is happening today is completely unjust as far as the farmers are concerned. And you know, Rajdeep, another thing perturbs us a lot. Today, many of the important functionaries of the ruling party are calling these farmers who are protesting, peaceful protesters, are being called Khalistanis, are being called Naxalites. Now, this is so unfair. These are poor farmers who are protesting, and it's their children who are protecting our borders and the sacrifices that Punjab has made and the children of Punjab have made. And now they come up with these so-called nationalists, suddenly start calling them Naxalites and anti-Indian. I think it's extremely unfair.
No, you're saying it's extremely unfair and it reflects pain and anguish. But how do you respond to those who say that the Akali Dal was very much part of the NDA government when these farm bills were first discussed? Then then Harsimrat Kaur Badal left the cabinet. But the fact is that, the sense is that when this originally happened, it was a Congress that took the initiative and other parties like the communist trade unions in Punjab that have taken this up. And therefore, the Akali Dal has no option now, but in a way, to claim that it too is standing up for the farmers. Why didn't you stand up when you were part of the NDA?
First of all, let me make it very clear, and Mr. Sukhbir Badal has also made it clear on the floor of the House, that when this ordinance was brought before the cabinet, our minister, Harsimrat Badal, protested vehemently. But we were assured and reassured then that before these bills come before the parliament, all the apprehensions in the minds of the farmers would be addressed. After that, nothing was discussed. And even we got a shock when the bill suddenly came before the parliament. So it is absolutely not true to say that we took a U-turn. We were kept in the dark, though we were alliance partners, or rather the oldest alliance partners, but we were totally in the dark, and suddenly a surprise was sprung on us.
Let me therefore now bring in Sambit Patra, who's been very patiently listening. Sambit Patra, isn't this a huge embarrassment? Your oldest ally, the patriarch of the Akali Dal, one of the tallest leaders of the country, certainly in terms of his longevity, returns his Padma Vibhushan in solidarity with the farmers. Isn't this embarrassing at some level? Some kind of moral pressure on your government? Do you concede this has all been very embarrassing, badly mishandled?
With all due respect to Prakash Singh Badalji, he is a grand old man of Punjab, and of course we respect him. We have been with him since the days of emergency, and he was once called the Mandela of our politics by Mr. Narendra Modi. Mr. Modi also respects him, we respect him. Nothing against him personally, but it's a fight of ideology. And remember, as far as embarrassment is concerned, I would say it is really embarrassing for India that we did not embrace the idea of reforms for agriculture sector for all these 70 years. This is almost akin to 1991 movement of liberalization of Indian agriculture. I mean, I don't want to be very critical today of any political party, but I want to put my facts over here. Fact number one, I mean, just the gross value added agri and allied industries, the GVA, which is nothing but the profit margin in lakh crores, in Punjab is 0.9%, and the states which less output but more profits than Punjab are respectively Maharashtra 1.9, Andhra Pradesh 1.8, West Bengal 1.4, Tamil Nadu 1.2. Tamil Nadu produces 1/3 less than Punjab and makes more profit than Punjab. My question is, who is eating all the profits in Punjab? Who is it? These are pertinent questions. And second thing, I'll conclude by saying, Rajdeep, reading out a small portion of an article in Indian Express day before yesterday. Soyabean farmers in Maharashtra have benefited to get more out of APMC deals. In the last 3 months, Maha FPC, the umbrella body of farmers producing companies, FPC in Maharashtra, estimated that since the laws were enacted in September, FPCs in only 4 districts have made worth 10 crore from trade outside the mandis. So where was this 10 crore rupees which the poor peasants, the poor farmers made by selling their produce outside the mandis? Where was this 10 crore rupees going?
Sir,
is
Dr.
the question.
Patra,
So
Dr.
it is all the
Patra, you're pointing out what your government is saying are success stories. I just want to tell you, the farmers, the soybean farmers of Maharashtra were selling outside the mandi even prior to the last 3 months. Just as a correction to you, but I'm glad you've not called Prakash Singh Badal at least part of the award Wapsi gang. So that's a shift.
No.
But Supriya Shrinate, it is true, and you've looked at economics closely. There are merits in these farm law bills as well. Is the Congress party, which in its manifesto in Punjab a few years ago clearly also wanted to see farm reform, especially in the context of MSP and APMC, now turning its back on those reforms? Is it simply that where you stand depends on where you sit?
No, absolutely not. And I'm glad you've raised and addressed that question, because I wanted to clarify it. We have in our manifesto at the national level and in Punjab said that yes, agriculture needs reforms. The mandis are out of access for most farmers. And the alternative is to create many more markets for farmers to access. So we said large villages and smaller towns should have mandis. And once we have taken step number 1 to 10, we could look at the APMC. What is this government doing? This government is not going from step number 1 to 10, going to step number 11. And every time you question them, they start quoting or in fact misquoting and start narrating half-truths for our manifesto. So I hope I've cleared that substantially. My problem with what is happening today is it is the 8th day of protest, and quite simply put, who is protesting? Over half of India's population is agitated because over half of India's population is farmers. They are not just protesting for their income and for their livelihood. They are now being joined by people who have nothing to do with farming. Truckers, for instance, want to join this cause. And what is the government doing? The government brought about a law, and I have one question for the BJP spokesperson. Why did they bring about this law? Who recommended it? Was there a committee that recommended it? Was there a special group that recommended it? Because this is not a part of the BJP's election manifesto. So what was the trigger for this law is something we would really want to understand.
I'll get that from the BJP spokesperson, but let's be very clear. Yes. The many protesters who are now joining in are all seen to be driven by basically trying to encircle the Modi government. Some believe this at one level, it's no longer to that extent only about the farm laws. It's about the way the government, according to these people, functions, where the government dictates terms to different groups. Is this now about gherawing Mr. Modi or seeking these farm laws to be rolled back, Supriya Shrinate?
You know, I heard Mr. Gujral say that they were perturbed and they were anguished by being kept in the dark. It was the Indian farmer who was kept in the dark. Here is a path-breaking legislation that is going to reform the life of, change the life of over half our population. You did not even feel the need to sit across the table and discuss these laws with them. And now when they wanted to be discussed, you are vilifying them. You are adding communal angles to this. You are raising questions on what they wear and whether they are speaking chaste English. Why speaking English is the sole right of television anchors and for us who appear on TV channels. What sort of debates are we doing? मतलब अगर farmer के पास से बदबू ना आए और उसकी धोती ना फटी हो, तो वो farmer नहीं है. What sort of laws are we making? We did not feel the need to discuss these legislations with our farmers. When we got the land acquisition bill, when we were talking of this, we discussed it at length with the farmers. You did not even feel the need to send this bill to the special committee of parliament.
Sambit Patra, that is where many believe the root of the problem lies. Mr. Modi says he is projected as a great communicator, but his government failed to communicate to the group that was going to be affected. You took the farmer for granted. You should have gone through a standing committee. There should have been an oversight. There's a process. You subverted, short-circuited the process. This is reform by diktat. Nobody is saying don't reform agriculture, but you don't do it by diktat. The problem is the way you do it. It happens with demonetization in the past. It will even happen with the Central Vista project. And now you do it in the case of agriculture. You don't consult. Who did you consult? Who did the government consult?
Okay, Rajdeep, your questions are so long.
No, who did Who did the Prime Minister and the government consult before deciding to amend farm laws? Why did you not put it through a standing committee of parliament?
In fact,
Simple.
My God, Rajdeep, why do you do this? Then you annoy me. I mean, Rajdeep, you have asked this question. I get the question. Rajdeep, number one, so this whole thing boils down to three things which I gather in your debate. Number one, the problem is not with any of the clause of the three bills. The problem is that we did not consult with anyone. The second problem is that someone said that the farmers were not stingy and the farmers were speaking English. Someone says that, well, we call the farmers Khalistani. So, in fact, we have a very august gathering. Mr. Gujral, I really like as an intellectual person. I have been with his side for long. But even he did not come out with any substantial point which was objectional. He talked about the Khalistani angle. The Congress spokesperson talked about that the farmers were not stingy, they were speaking English. And you talked about miscommunication. Now, I was listening to Manogya Mohiwal, and Manogya was questioning a farmer on ground. And the farmer said, I quote, I wrote it down then, "Hamari jameen chali jayegi, hum nahi chodenge." So this is a manufactured misinformation. Hamari jameen kaisi chali jayegi?
No, but your government is in power. You should spread the information. Sir, you should do consultations.
Yes, I am here doing spreading the information. Just a second. Sir, please, I'm informing you. Please hear my information. Please read reference point number 8 in the bill. No farmer agreement shall be entered into for the purpose of any transfer, including the sale, lease and mortgage of the land or premises of the farmer. So please, Rajdeep, now I inform you. I hope you are informed since tonight and after tomorrow you would not be questioning any spokesperson of Bharatiya Janata Party.
It's not me, sir. It's the affected groups.
Can I please make a point?
Okay.
Yeah, you are one of the modes. I mean, information, you are also one of the modes.
Okay,
I believe India Today and Aaj have watched channels. So, of course, you are one of the modes. And just conclude in 10 seconds. Yes, 10 seconds, Rajdeep, not more than 10 seconds, Rajdeep. Since you have raised question on communication, and you call Mr. Modi as the best communicator, well, of course, I agree he's the best communicator, and that's the reason as to why, on umpteen occasions, including the Dev Deepavali about a couple of days ago, Mr. Modi himself clarified that no one is going to take away your lands, no one is going to take away the MSP, there is nothing wrong, there's only a lot of misinformation that is being spread. Hamari niyat Ganga Jal jaisi hai, koi chal nahi hai. He has been umpteen number of times clarified. Whom do you want to clarify now?
Supriya Shrineth, is this an attempt, as I said, to politicize a farm reform bill that at one level with discussion could easily be taken forward? Let's be clear, for the longest time, many of these recommendations have been recommended by many agriculture economists. Agriculture needs to be reformed.
The attempt to politicize is farthest from the truth. I will just quote three things, and I wish the BJP was going to talk about it. They say, We do not have issues with clause. We have issues with multiple clauses. The Prime Minister gets up and says, trust me. How do we trust you? Because you've said and gone back on your word multiple times. So unless and until you do not put it in the statute that anybody buying below the MSP is going to be punishable by law, the farmer is going to be vulnerable. The government's efforts have to be to ring fence the farmer. In 2011, Mr. Modi was the head of the working group on consumer affairs. He recommended MSP being legalized and put in the statute. Rajnath Singh, during a protest, said, किसान के सामने घुटने टेकने ही पड़ते हैं जब किसान सड़क पे उतर जाता है. Arun Jaitley ji, God rest his soul in peace, in 2012 in the Rajya Sabha as leader of the opposition said that US and Europe are developed nations and they spend $500 billion as subsidy to sustain the farmers. India will have to do this. India will have to look at MSPs, will have to put it in the statute. Why are you going against your own words? This is exactly what you wanted. It is not even a part of your manifesto. I really am curious to understand, why are you doing this? Who is recommending it? Which committee, which special group has said, what was the trigger for this law other than cheating the Indian farmer? That is my only submission tonight.
Okay, no, well, one would like to know a simple answer then to a straight question, Sambit Patra. Is there any option that the government has of rolling this back? Is that ruled out?
You see, Rajdeep, on a new show, I am not going to talk about this since the talks are on, and the further talks would be on December 5th. So I am no authority to be speaking about what might be the culminating point of any talk. But coming to what my mandate is to spread information and in fact do away with the misinformation. Right now we were telling, the question put to me was, what was the trigger for starting this reform? Should there be a trigger for a reform? Yes, I'll tell you what the reforms trigger was. The reforms trigger was go to Punjab, one of the highest producers of wheat. Go to Punjab and you would see where was the profit draining to? Most of the Adatiyas. 3,330 crore rupees per year going to the Adatiyas. And the farmers had to lease out, had to give out approximately 8.5% to 10% as commissions. If we want to make the farmer tax mukt, kar mukt, why are there people, why are there spokespersons who want the farmers to be perpetually in the clutches and be tax yukt? Why?
So you're saying the trigger was that it was decided that it was time to end the middleman Raj. You're claiming that this has been directed to end the middleman. Yes, a final word, Supriya Shrineth. Yes, ma'am.
I lost your audio there, but all I will say is data is never proven wrong. Farm income has halved since the BJP came into office. Growth in MSP has considerably lowered. Farm export has gone down. So what numbers are you talking about? I only feel that the biggest proof that the government and the farmers have a huge trust deficit is that people who grow crops to feed us today refuse the food offered by the Indian government. They carried their own lunch and that is what they ate. अपना खाना उन्होंने खाया और सरकारी खाने को ठुकरा दिया. इससे ज़्यादा अवमानना और इससे ज़्यादा बेइज्जती और इससे ज़्यादा
That's a political statement to make, but Supriya Shrineth, and you're a politician, so you have every right to do so. Sambit Patra, Supriya Shrineth, I need to move on because I want to go beyond the politicians as well. I want to go to two different points of view to find out if there is a meeting ground. Thank you both very much for joining me. I'm joined by Devinder Sharma, agriculture economist based in Chandigarh, and one of the first who pointed out that these laws will result in protests across Punjab. I'm also joined by Gurcharan Das, author and someone who's been writing, claiming that this legislation is much needed. Let's get those 2 points of view very quickly. First to you, Gurcharan Das. You've written just now saying you want to see more reforms, not less. You actually believe these are a step in the right direction. Do you believe, therefore, that the government must not roll back any of these laws?
Absolutely. I think that this is the 1991 moment for India's farmer. And I do believe that the farmers' incomes will rise across the country as a result of this. And this is something that all agricultural economists have said for the last 25 to 30 years.
That's not necessarily true, Mr. Gurcharan Das. There are a number of people on the ground who are saying that these measures can only result in what they call the corporatization of agriculture, making farmers dependent on large corporates.
Well, that is not true, because first of all, the farmer has the freedom to do what he likes. That's all it gives him, the farmer. That if he likes to go to the mandi and sell via the mandi, he can do that. He doesn't have to sell to the corporate at all. So there's nothing in the law that says that he's going to sell or he has to sell to the corporate.
So you're saying the laws actually give the farmers more options. Devinder Sharma, you and others actually believe otherwise. What is it in the law that troubles you so much that you believe the government needs to relook at?
I think what the farmers are demanding, and after so many days, 8 days of the farmers' protest in New Delhi, what has come out and what should be very clear to each one of us is actually farmers are wanting that they should have an assured price, which means they should have an assured income. That's all they are asking for, primarily. Now, if that is what they are asking for, I think the way forward for that is not through corporatization of agriculture or not through these reforms, which actually open up the agriculture sector for the sake of the corporates. Now, what we actually need is a assured price. Assured price comes by way of minimum support price.
How do I give an assured price in the law?
Yes, minimum support price is so far confined primarily to Punjab and Haryana. I want to understand, why do we think that only Punjab and Haryana farmers should get assured price, whereas the rest of the country's farmer should be left to face the vagaries of the market? For all these years, we know Shanta Kumar Committee had said that only 6% farmers get MSP, 94% farmers are dependent on markets. If markets were so good, please tell me, why is agriculture in such a serious crisis? Why are thousands of farmers dying every year? That is something we need to understand. And to say that, the big...
No, but what is it in this law? Devinder Sharma, what is it specifically in this law that you want to be removed or added?
In fact, it's very interesting when we say that bring in a fourth law which assures that MSP becomes a legal right for farmers, all the corporate activists come up and say that, this will be a disaster for the reforms. Because the point is, if everyone says you're going to get a higher price, please tell me, why is there objection to MSP being a legal instrument? After higher price to what? MSP is the only benchmark we have. If companies are happy, if the economists are happy, if the corporate activists are happy that farmers will getting a higher price, then I think everyone should agree that MSP should be a bottom line or a legal.
So you're talking like a floor price. Create some kind of a floor price within the law, and that would satisfy farmers. Gurcharan Das, a final word on that. Is that a possibility, or do you believe that goes against market forces?
Well, of course it goes against market forces. This is a command economy mentality, the kind of thing that you did in the Soviet Union or in China. In a democratic country, you cannot put a price in the law. It is
but
just
you need some protection for farmers, Gurcharan Das. Surely you need some protective valve.
You can do those things. However, let's understand, the problem with India's agriculture is that we have small holdings, and the farmer needs to improve the productivity of that holding. Now, this can be done by investing capital in that land, and to investing capital, etc., you can have it done by the model, the AMUL model, which is to create farmer-producer cooperatives who can combine the land holding of 2 hectares, which is what exists. So that's the beginning point. What we need is a second green revolution to make the farmer's income grow. Now, if you get stuck with the present peasant farming system, where you have to give an assured price, a APMC mandi, and everything is to be given to the farmer, bechara farmer. He's not a bechara farmer. Treat him with dignity. What you're asking when you say put the MSP in the thing. Of course, look, you have to understand that the reality is the government will have to keep procuring grains. They'll have to keep procuring grains because they have lakhs of ration shops to feed. Until the Food Security Act goes away, you have to give the population food through the ration shop. So there will have to be a price. So forget this idea that MSP will go away, because you have to have.
But you're saying it does not need to be a legal right. What you're saying, MSP will not go, but it cannot be a legal right because that would be anti-market in a way. Final word, 30 seconds, Devinder Sharma. Tell me, is there anything short of MSP being written into the law that you believe can be a negotiating point?
I find it very strange. You know, we are so worried about market forces and we are at least concerned about the farmers. All these decades, farmers have suffered in India. They have been deliberately kept impoverished. And the model that Mr. Gurcharan Das is talking has failed in America and Europe. The markets there are not efficient. They are being sustained by huge subsidies. You know, if you look at today, American farmers are saddled with a bankruptcy of $425 billion. This is after 6-7 decades of market reforms in America, open markets operating in America. There are big retailers in America. They have no stock limit. There is credit. There is commodity trading in America. There is contract farming. There is no APMC. Please tell me, why are the suicide rate in America 45% higher in rural areas as compared to the urban areas? The chief economist of US Department of Agriculture has gone on record saying American incomes, farm incomes since 1960s have been on a steep decline if you adjust for inflation. This is happening in America. You want to replicate a failed model from America because economists of India can't see anything beyond America and Europe. Very sad. That's why I call them lazy economists, because they think the best way is to cut and paste from America and suggest to Indian farmers. You talked about...
Gurcharan Das, I know you're dying to step in. I'm running out of time, but I will give you 30 seconds. Okay, Devinder Sharma, you made your point. Yes.
Give me just 30 seconds. I'm not saying that there should not be a subsidy. What I'm saying is, don't distort the market in the process. I would be very happy if we had a minimum basic income for all farmers, and give them money to buy fertilizer, to buy electricity, water, and but when you give free water, free electricity, fertilizer subsidy, this subsidy, then you spoil the market and you harm the farmer. So give them the money. That's the right way to do. That's why you shouldn't put an MSP into the law, because there are better ways to give farmers a higher income than just distorting economy.
Okay.
That's my point.
Okay, I think both of you give the alternative perspective. The reason why this is so difficult in a way to resolve is because these reforms, if enacted, can completely disrupt or completely transform the agriculture sector, whichever way you look at it, disruption or transformation. Devinder Sharma and Gurcharan Das, always a pleasure talking to two fine voices. Thank you very much for joining me.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.